Alrighty, welcome back. I'm your man Bad Chad and Queen Jolene's on the camera and we are on air. The goal today is to finish off where we left off, and that is continue on with the body fill. Yesterday we showed the beginning process of welding and starting to fill out the panel. First we sanded it with a 40 grit on a DA and scratched it all over. And then we applied fiberglass reinforced filler over all the weld seams. And now we're going to the next step where we're going to apply the body filler. I'm trying to make it more so when you come and watch what we're doing, I'm going to tell you exactly what we're doing. Sometimes I get carried away and talk about things that basically don't matter sometimes on the video. So I'm going to try to stick to the process of what we're doing. We have the fiberglass filler on there. We did that yesterday. It has healed really nice. I try not like to get into it real quick. I like for it to heal really good. Right now I'm going to take a 40 grit on the DA and I'm going to knock off all the heads of what are sticking up and get it scratched up for the filler. That's what I'm going to do. Thanks for coming back. We appreciate it. Alrighty. So you can see the fiberglass filler has ridges in it like this. We just want to knock off the heads of it so we can get our body filler on as smooth as possible. Every time you put on a coat of something, the smoother you get it, the smoother you can put on the next one. I definitely want to make sure that I'm watching what I'm doing, because as soon as I hit metal, I want to stop. And the reason being is that's the ocean floor. We're not going any further than that. We are not digging holes in the car. We are just going to the ocean floor, which is the metal. You can tell right away we got a nice coat of fiberglass filler on that because we are not hitting the metal yet and we're almost to the shape that we need to be. So what it tells me is that the less filler we're going to need to make this panel look right, because this is the low in the flood of the fiberglass. That's the low. Get my little brush. Just keeping the fiberglass filler out of the way so I can see what's going on. I want to know when I hit metal. what I am going to say, whoever applied the fiberglass filler right there to this panel did an excellent job, because there's enough there to get what I need to get done. Basically, all I'm going to have to do there with the filler is to skim coat it and take out the scratches and the pinholes. That's all would have to be done to that right there. I'm going to hit metal though, because that's where I want to take it. I want to take it to the lowest, or to the ocean floor. And that way there, I know as I have the amount of product there I need. Try not to hit that there. What I'm going to do is, I keep hitting this part here. I've decided that I'm not going to strip this part here because I don't feel like the rest of the car was stripped, so I'm not going to strip it. And the reason being is, I feel if I strip it, then I'm just going to continue on. It's going to become into something that's probably I don't want to do, is strip the car. You can see I started stripping the hood over there, and the reason being is the hood needs repair. And I might as well redo the repair, starting fresh, doing it right, I guess. So that's what I'm doing. I'm stripping that part down. Well, but where this car is almost completed, I'm not going to strip it any further than it's needed. Just going to put this tape on here, because every time I'm going with that DA, I'm digging the side of the car where the primer is. I do not want to do that. I'd rather dig the tape. Just put a couple pieces on there to protect it. For me digging the car, that's all. Didn't realize I put that much glass on there, but I obviously did. Don't care if I hit the trunk lid, because I'm going to strip that too. You can see right here now, right here I'm hitting metal. So that's as far as I'm going to go there. When I go up here, I'm hitting metal right here on this fiberglass. As far as I'm going there. I'm hitting metal all the way along there. I'm not hitting the glass, but I'm hitting metal over here, and I'm hitting metal over here, so that's going to have to be filler. hitting metal right there. That's a low spot, so I'm going to leave that alone because I can't go no further than that. That means that's low. That means that's low. We're hitting metal there. That's low. So that's where the body filler comes in. You see metal grazing right there. That's the ocean floor. So I'm not going to go any further than that. It's pointless. As I'm doing this, I would want to hold this flat too. Where I'm rounding this off, sure, I'm going to do this, but where I'm doing this sort of stuff, I would never dig at it like that. I can dig that out, sure I can. But what would be the point if I want to make it as flat, as smooth as possible? There would be no point whatsoever. All right, here, just if you want to come over here for a second, sweetheart. I have finally found the ocean floor. So I've got a little bit of metal showing right there. And I've got a little bit of yellow paint showing there. So we know that what is necessary there, it's got a flood on. That's perfect because the ocean floor is just peaking there. Just like the beach or when the water comes in. If it's flooded, that's the highest point because I've kept it flat the whole way. That actually right there would be straight enough to paint, but you would not paint that because this is fiberglass. It has a lot of pores in it. I'm sanding with a 40 grit, but what I'm saying is it's straight and flat enough. The flood there would be good enough for the finished look, is what I'm trying to say. It's not the finished look, but yet it's straight enough with the flood on it that it could be. We have some metal showing here. That is the ocean floor. We don't want to go any further than that. I don't want to try to skip that out when the ocean floor is up that high. So this is more or less saying that's low a little bit. So I'm going to have to come over there with some filler to fill that panel out to make it nice. This piece over here, I can't get at it with the DA, so I'm going to do it by hand. All I'm trying to do now is get a little ledge going on there with fiberglass. I'm just trying to get that ledge off so it feathers off so I can put filler on it. Now, you can see, if you come here, you can see how I'm going through here and I'm hitting metal and I've got fiberglass right there. That's telling me there's a low spot right there that has to be filled in with filler. It should tell you the exact same thing when you're doing your car. Hitting metal, then there's a ledge. That tells me that there's an issue going on right here. Look, I'm hitting primer or metal going on there, so that means there's a dent there. Feel my hand on that part. Feels good here, and this is sanding good here. It's sanding good here. It seems like this is low here because this is all feathered off here. just kind of using my my spidey senses to know what I have to do. And basically, if you're watching things, it tells you what you have to do. Watch this. So we'll go up in the center here and get this knocked off. I may have overdid the glass a little bit. And what I mean overdid the glass a little bit is usually I don't like sanding the glass that much because it's so hard to sand. But where I have put this much on, I guess there's less to do with the filler to get it where it needs to go. But generally I put on probably a little less than this. And the reason being is I don't like to sand it because it's so hard. But where we have it like this, the bodywork's going to go much faster. Holding it flat all the time. Good. Feels good. Holding it flat. Gonna come over to Jolene's side. Weld seam going on there. Hitting metal right there. So that means there's no sense going any further down here anymore because that's metal. Metal. If I'm holding it flat, that's where it's hitting right there, so there's no sense going here anymore. That's a low spot. That's a low spot where it's welded together. And I've often, I've seen people take a hammer and take all their low spots and beat them in. But basically what that means is you have to fill it in. You think you're getting more filler off by beating that in, but you have to put filler in to get to that. So it's kind of one way or another. If it's really high, yes, you could bang that in a little bit and take a little more off. But generally I just leave the Ocean 4 alone and put the filler in that it needs. Basically, because if you beat that in, you're going to have to fill that plate. Metal showing right there. It's over. Going up to the metal, trying to get what I can. Always moving this thing back and forth, crisscrossing it full time. But the main thing is holding this flat. Got metal showing right here, so that means that's low, all the light spots are low. I'm holding this flat. I'm going to take on my brush and sweep that off. I'm going to throw a little tape on this edge because I don't want to hit that. I already know I'm going to hit it. So I'm going to throw a little tape on it. Just save some scratching and going any further on that, that's all. Put that over there. So we're getting closer. This is the part nobody likes, is the body work. It slows the process down. We're hitting metal, so you know that that fiberglass right there is low. It's got a little edge going on there, but we're hitting metal, it's low in there. Now there's no way around it. You're hitting metal over here, so we know that that body filler's got to come down here further to make that right. right, we're gonna leave that be. Feels good. And get our sandpaper, finish up in there. All this stuff in here will be done by hand. It's got a, you know, a round part to it. There's no way to dig that in there and get that out. It just, you would end up ruining it. And what I mean by ruining it is you'd be back into putting filler or fiberglass back into it on it, because you'd be digging it everywhere. And if you ever hear anybody doing the bodywork thing where you put it on, you take it off, you put it on, you take it off, you put it on, you take it off, and you put it on, you take it off. Well, this is where I'm showing you how to skip that part by stopping at the ocean floor. I'm showing you basically how to stop yourself from going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because I'm going to tell you something. The less times I have to come over and put filler on top of this, the faster I am. Because every time you have to put filler on, it means you have to go over to the bucket, mix a bunch of filler up, come back over and put it on. If you listen to the simple process, what I'm saying, I can help you perform your body work 10 times faster than normal. And the reason being is I'm paying attention to every spot on the car. And when I'm pointing to something, I'm pointing to the ocean floor, which is the metal of the car. I'm pointing to it. That is the place, that's the highest place of the ocean floor. And I know that because of holding that flat. And if I go past that, if I go past them points, then I'm already taken off too much. You were trying to make the car nice and flat and smooth. And I'm going to explain something else. When you fill your car out, the parts that you'll see that you do not like on your car, if you do your body work and you see stuff you do not like, is going to be around the ocean floor, which is the metal of the car, where you've taken it off too much and you see where the filler is meeting up with the car. That's where you'll see it. So if you have a dent here, a dent here, a dent there, and a dent here, if you just try to fill them dents, them 4 dents I just drew on there, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you just try to fill them 4 dents, you're going to have 4 areas where you can see poopy bodywork. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you take and come in and go cover the whole thing, flood it, when you block it all off at once, you see a high spot or your ocean floor, which is your metal. You stop and you fill it out again. When you block it all out, when you just see one part that's the ocean floor, you know you've got it all. It's all one nice area. You probably have it fixed. Then you only have one area where you could see that you have a problem, not 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll be twice as fast. So by just listening to the simple steps that I'm showing, you can become a lot faster. When it comes into hand sanding, that sort of stuff, it's hard to become, you know, faster unless you work faster, work harder. All right, let's sweep it off and talk about it for a second. Don't want to take my DA in around there and just be knocking glass off that's not wanting to be knocked off, or I don't think it wants to be knocked off. The metal's a little bit cold, a little bit. So now I've got quite an area here. I mixed the glass on yesterday. You watched me mix the glass and put it on yesterday. You've seen the little trick I did. And if you didn't see the little trick I did, go back to the day before and it'll show you the trick that I did with the glass to make it go on nice and smooth. Now, let's just take a look at it. Ocean floor, which is the lowest place of the car. The ocean floor is the lowest part of the flood. And it's there, it's there, it's there, it's there, it's there, there, there. It's right here. It's all on this edge. It's all on this edge. It's right there. We've got the ocean floor showing here, all on this edge. We've got ocean floor up here, and we were running that smooth flat all the way across. That's good. We've got ocean floor showing here. We got a little bit there, we got it here, and we got it there. So there would be no sense of trying to take it down any further to get more out of the car, because you're going to end up putting more back in. So if we stay at that point, you must realize the flood of, just like the ocean, when the water comes in and floods the ocean, or floods the ocean floor, when it floods it, that water, when it floods right to the top, it's perfect. So there's no sense of us going any further, because we're going to take that start of being perfect away from it. I'm just going to throw on the heat gun for a second. The metal's a little bit cold. It's cold in here this morning. I just want to put a little heat in it. But as you see what's going on, the white part where it's sanded, I would say is pretty well bang on. But we have to put more on it to get rid of this stuff. This light green stuff is low places in the flood. That's the low places. This is the ocean floor. So we're going to flood it all to get that. So we're going to put it, just more water needs to come in to make this smooth all over. Also, when we do this, when we flooded it with filler, we'll do the exact same thing as we did with the fiberglass. We'll make sure when we're sanding the filler that we hold that DA nice and flat. So if we see the ocean floor, we know we have to stop. Exact same process. If you do not stop, I will guarantee you that you will end up going back to that can and doing the process again. I guarantee it. I've done it too many times. Jolene's going to plug that back in for me. She's my queen. She's my lady. Back off, boy. She's mine. She's my lady. She's good. She's trying to do 2 jobs at once. And she can. Just going to put some heat in this. Just cold, that's all. I let this set all day yesterday, so the fiberglass is really nice and hard. If you get at this stuff too early sometimes, you can see how the fiberglass is sanding off there. That's adhering better than some of the paint on the car. It really is. Like, for that to just come off like that and have fiberglass filler still around it and feathered off, it's really adhering good. You can tell that. If you get at it too soon, it won't come off that nice. It will come off not good. What I mean by not good, it will not be adhered that well. So I just moved on to something else. I was over there stripping the hood and painting racking. And Jolene wasn't helping me. Gotta love her. Put a little heat in it, that's all. So we're going to mix some filler up, and we'll fill this bad boy out. I'm not going to sand in there yet. I'm not going to probably put any filler in there yet. Now, when, just a hint, when I come in to put filler on this, where I'm going to put filler first is, I'm going to put filler first where all the dark green places are. The dark green places are where the flood is low. So that's where I'm going to dump my filler on, put my filler on first. That makes sense. I hope it makes sense. I'm going to take this off because I want filler to come down there to fill that edge. So sweep that off, get it clean. So you know in real time what we have into that panel. We showed you yesterday what it took to get it where it's at. The filler is a little bit cold. 3%, fills mixed at 3%, split it in half, you get 50, split it in half again, you get 12 and a half, split it in half again, carry on, 3% generally, but I just generally stick in enough to change color. I'm going to go with this much first. The filler is kind of cold. I'm going to leave it at this texture, and the reason being is I'm going to use it as filler, and when I go to flood that panel I'll probably thin it down some, and I'll show you that trick here in a minute. You can tell that filler has changed color. As long as that color has changed all the way through the whole lot of filler, you know you've got it mixed. Now, I'm going to the light green places. Put it on, spread it out. Slower you pull it, generally the better job you get. Generally. I want to put filler in that corner. Couldn't sand in there. Low spot right there. Let's get that on there first. A little light green back here. You can see it. Don't matter if I get fire or body fill on the trunk lid. The reason being is I'm going to strip it. Light green. Put some there. Whatever way you pull the filler is the way you're dragging it. And we have some light spot right here. Light spot right along there. Light spot still there. Put some on there. This stuff, this filler part, I say it all the time, you want more on than you need. If you do not have enough on, or more than you need, well then you're obviously going to come back and put more on. And the quicker that you do this process, and the quicker that you learn that you put more on than you need, the quicker you'll be. A little light there. I'm going to put some there. The smoother I get it on, the better. Let's get this off. It's just going to be in my way. Just like drywall, you get anything in your drywall at all, you end up having issues. And what I mean by issues is that you can't get your next run on smooth if you've got stuff in the way. Gonna have to put some more on there. We're gonna mix a little bit more up because we need 1, 2, this little bit here and a little bit along there, a little bit along there. We're going to go with that little bit, I think, for now. Probably a little much, but get it to harden. See it changing color. When it's all the way through, you know you're done. Low, low, low. Looks like I'm low there too. Got an edge going on there. Light, the green color. Put it on. Scrape her off. Light green there. We've got an edge going on there, but we got metal showing, so we're going to put some on that edge. Oh, we do got to fill that full. Probably should have mixed up a little bit more. See that? We got a few little places in here. That wasn't too bad in there. Now, where I've got that filled out there like that, it's not over. That's just the low places of what's going on. I just put some filler in the low places. Don't need that big chunk of fill there to sand off, so I might as well do something about it. Trying to get it up in there. So that basically has filled most of the low places that are in the ground coat of the fiberglass. What's going to happen is I'm going to let this harden, this filler, and then I'm going to cover the whole thing with a skim coat. How much time we got?
45.
45? Oh, we've got time. We've got time. We're going to let that dry for a minute, and then we'll put on a thin coat. And I'm going to show you a little trick how I'm going to do that. Just want to get out the hard, crusty things that make it hard for the next coat. I do not want to sand that or anything. I've been stripping the hood. If I get my brush again, we'll come to the other side. I wasn't going to show the hood, but we're going to see where we're going to let that filler dry a little bit. You can see how on the side how the paint's been chipping on this, and it's been coming off that primer. You can see every place where it's coming off that primer where it's chipping, and it probably means there's probably a little too much product on there. This is some of the product that I scraped off it already. It's been painted once, but it had a lot of primer on it. And the top coat, you can see how the primer is sticking to the yellow paint. You can see how it's sticking really good. Then you take a look at the yellow paint on top of the primer. It's not doing the exact same thing. It's almost like it's ripping off, basically. And seeing where I've got some metal work to do on the hood, we will show that. The lip underneath is rotted off. We've got a few holes up front. We're going to deal with that. But basically what I am doing is I'm stripping the hood. I've seen a lot of people ruin their hood and think that, you know, send it to the sandblaster and get them to strip it. That's the last thing I would do with the hood. I'm going to probably end up sandblasting some of this hood, but it would not be the skin of the hood. I'm going to sandblast the lips all the way around where it's double cased. I probably will sand that just because it'll speed the process up some. But to get someone to come over and sandblast your hood and get all the paint off it, you are making a huge mistake. And the reason being is you'll ruin it. It'll warp it. I'm not sure exactly what it is. If it's the air pressure, or if it's the sand itself, or what actually does the warping, but you will ruin your hood if you take that out and get it sandblasted to peel that off. I've seen it done. I've done it. So I'm just going to knock off some paint, show you how I'm going to strip it. I was using the DA with the 40 grit on it. This is where I got it. It took me quite a while to get there. I went over town to Napa Know-How, and I found some big discs, 36 grit. I just stripped a little tiny bit. It went very quick, but you got to be very careful because I do not want to gouge. You can see where the metal is showing there. I do not want to gouge the metal. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it, and then you can see what you want to do. So if you gouge the metal, you know what has to be done. You're either priming it and guide coating it and blocking out, try to fix it. But basically what I'm trying to do with this grinder is just get off enough, and as soon as I hit the metal, get out of there. And that way there, when I come over with the 40 grit on the DA, then I can make it look like this and take all the gouges or whatever scratch marks out of it and fix it. So I'm just going to take a little paint off it. That's basically how I'm taking the paint off it. Then I'm taking the DA, the 8-inch. I use this thing quite a bit. It's got a nice speed to it, which works really good. Some of the DAs you get turn too fast, or people may turn them up too fast, and when you turn them up too fast, it doesn't do the job you want it to. So now after I tear the paint off, if it'll get caught, it will. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Oh yeah, I'm going to put a little oil in the air tool. Jolene said you kept saying you're going to put air in it. Yes, I was, but I forgot about the oil. So we're going to put a little oil in the tool. Some days up here I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. Some days, maybe today I'm not thinking about what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing. I'm stripping the paint off the hood. I had 36 grit on the grinder, just getting to the metal and tearing it off, and then I'm going to do this. Holding it flat. When I'm stripping the paint off this, I say I was holding it flat. I was, but when I want to get the paint off, I'm allowed to dig at it because I got the ocean floor to say that the 40 grit's not going to hurt it any. The 40 grit will scratch it, but it's not going to hurt any. That 36 grit on the grinder will gouge it and hurt it. Generally, this does not. We obviously know what that is. It's a dent. Sandpaper is dull because of sanding the glass over there. Have not changed it yet, so that's why it's not ripping off as good. It's dull, but this is the way to strip a hood, is to sand it off. And also, that prepares the metal. We will go over it again with after the 40 grit. We'll do it with an 80 grit to take out some more of the scratches, and that'll prepare the metal perfectly for the primer. So that's what I have to do for the hood. I have to strip the whole thing off, and that's the process I will use. I'm going to check out the filler. We'll see if we can get that on. It's not bad. It's getting there. It's good enough. It's damp. A lot of people like to sand their filler when they're soft, and I do not like to do it when it's soft. And the reason I'm going to say I don't like to do it when it's soft, I shouldn't say I don't like to do it all the time. I would sand my filler inside this area maybe when it's soft, because it's a lot of finger sanding in there. But when you sand your filler when it's soft, I find sometimes it rips off. Then you're back over into that thing, filling it back in again, so you let it dry so you can sand it off to make it work. So I generally like to let my filler cure. I'd like to let it cure. And the reason being is it feathers off nice. Where the fiberglass was left last night, I didn't touch it. And I didn't touch it for you guys because that's what we're doing. But you can see how nice that fiberglass feathers off if I left it overnight, and how it's cured and how it's stuck and how it's done excellent. If I sanded it when it was soft, it would not rip off like that. It probably would rip off the paint and the metal and act kind of funny, and you would be disappointed. So now I'm going to get into putting some body fill. I'm going to put a flood on the whole thing. I've flooded the areas where it were low, and the reason I flooded the areas where it was low is because it needed it. You know, and that's where it was low. So now I'm going to put a flood on the whole thing. So it's all one flood. I would never want to sand it like that. I want the whole thing covered. I think I was explaining that before. If you had a dent, a dent, a dent, and a dent, you wouldn't just do the dents and have 4 places of sand. Cover the whole thing and do the whole thing. That's what I'm going to do there. I would never come over here and sand just that, and just that, and just that. You're going to end up taking your time, and you're going to end up learning a lesson that you sand it off, and then you put more on. You sand it off, then you put more on. I'm going to skip that little lesson, and I'm going to put a little resin in this, thin it out a little bit. I should have put the resin in first, but I did not. Wasn't thinking as I was talking. That resin I put in there to thin the thin the body fill out a little bit. I done it with the fiberglass. Sure, it will work with the body filler. Just thin it out a little bit so it lays on nice. Nicer I get that flood on there, the nicer that, or the easier time I'll have sanding it off. I'm going to take a new squeegee, scrape that off, because I want it all. I like that. Just going to set that right there. Alrighty. Now we're going to do the whole thing, because we want a flood on the whole thing. Want to make it all one playing field. Put it on, and then I'll drag it. Didn't want to use all that. I wanted to use all that. We're going to go with that. We're going to mix some more up. I need a rag.
It's right under here.
a rag right there. I'll clean that off. The better I clean that tool off, the better I'll get my next piece on. If Jolene wants to show you, which she no doubt was, where I've got that on there, you would never get that on there that smooth if I didn't sand that, didn't anything. I just put that on there. You watched me put that on there with the squeegee. If I had a bunch of hard spots in it, you wouldn't get it on there to lay on there like that. You'd end up having a bunch of missed places, which you have to go back in and fix. I'm going to go with that for now. Let's do the resin trick first. Just doing the exact same thing I did with the fiberglass. I just want that filler to lay out nice. I don't want it to be all rough when I go to sand it. I want it to be as smooth as possible. And if you have like a cheaper brand of fill, that this is a more expensive brand, you can get a cheaper brand of fill sometimes, or a little less money. I don't know if it's any better or any worse, but you can use the resin on that to thin that down so it works really nice. We'll do the large areas first, and then we'll do the small areas. When it all changes color, you know you've got it mixed. Looks good to me. I'm going to go to the other side. Some on here. It's a high spot there. That's fine though. Nope. Taken. Stop it. Now we'll do the little stuff. Make sure that's smooth, got no ends on it, that's all. Any rough pieces of body fill on it. Have to clean this off before you put it back in there, because you'll take hardener off your off your squeegee, and then you'll put it into your body fill, and then you'll get hard spots. Something you got to learn. Clean it off before you put it back in. Alrighty, we got this little area to do. We've got a little area over on this side to do. Just going to knock that off. And then we got a little area in there to do. I'm just going to and this practice that I'm doing can be done by anybody. I'm showing you what I'm doing. And remember, at all times, take what you like and throw away what you don't like. And that's what you should do in life. Take what you like and throw away what you don't like. And then you make it your own. So, in life, I like the 55, 56, 57. I took what I liked. I liked the roof smaller to have a 3-window car. I liked that part, so that's what I took to customize this car. I took what I liked. What I didn't like was the 4-door, or the 4-seater, excuse me, the 4-seater car. I didn't like that, so that's why I threw away. And I took what I like is the 2-seater, and that's why I made this car. Basically, that's the end of the story. Took what I like, threw away the rest. And I suggest you do the same. So if you're at a car show and you see something that you like, take it. And if you see something you don't like, make sure you don't do it on yours. You know, basic stuff. I should have mixed it with the little one, but I got talking. The reason I should have mixed it with the little one, because I wouldn't have it all over this big one. I'd just have it on the edge. And I was going to use a little squeegee to put it on. Messed up again, didn't I? Let's just do this. Let's let the big one set. We'll clean that off when we get back. Different squeegees for different areas. All the same process. It's all good down here, but we still want to have a flood on it. There's no sense of us not. Right? No sense of not having cover the whole thing. That'd be like putting the 4 dents, having 4 dents and doing them individually. That's not the way you want to do things. Cover it all, sand it all. The other side. Didn't get any up here, or I got my shirt in it, something or other. That there is round, so I'm just taking my thumb and pressing it, bending my squeegee round. Trying to get some right there. Make too much of a mess, but Just like to have some filler right here. Scoop that off. Put that right there. All right, so I got a little bit left to do in there. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that there. I'm not even going to hit that again. And the reason being is I'm going to sand it and see where it's at, because it doesn't look that bad. Also, where this is, where I've got this flat shape, that flat shape, that flat shape, then that round spot, I basically will sand all this stuff. Actually, you come back tomorrow and we'll do it. Then you'll know exactly what it takes and how I did it. So we've showed yesterday sanding the metal with 40 grit, and we applied fiberglass filler. That was yesterday. We used resin in the fiberglass filler to put it on nice and smooth. Today, I went with the 40 grit on the DA. I held it flat, and I just sanded it off to where I come to the ocean floor. Ocean floor is the metal of the car. Today, I put in the filler in the low spots first, and then I put a full flood on the whole area. And then I feel like I can start sanding. But if sometimes I do this. If I rub my hand over it at all, and I feel like there's a low spot in it, I will come back with some more filler and put a little filler in that low spot before I start sanding. And then you know when you sand it, you're going to get it, basically. So, all right, everybody, thanks a lot for coming back. I appreciate it. Some days are a little different than others, and that's to be expected, because we learn or we don't learn, one or the other. But what I'm going to try to do from now on, I'm going to try to say what we're doing during the day. That way there everybody knows. And then we'll get to it. That'll last for a day or two, won't it? All right, everybody. Like, share, comment, come back. See you tomorrow. Thanks for everything. And people still writing in where they're from and their projects. Right on, man. Keep her cruising. Have a good one.